Welcome back to Live Now from Fox 651 here on the East Coast and giving you a live look at the White House there in Washington, D.C. As you all know, the race to the White House is on this morning. And speaking of the race to the White House, you know, we are just one day away from what could be the defining event in the 2024 race for the White House. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are scheduled for their first and perhaps only debate tomorrow night.
What is up, everyone? It is I, Carlton Flowers of the Go Political channel. And today is the eve of the great debate. Yep, the 2024 election debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. So we need to talk about what we think is going to happen before the debate takes place. And I'll share with you a few thoughts, and I want you to share in the comments and tell me what you think is going to happen during this debate. So up until the time of the debate, in the last few weeks, we know that Kamala has been practicing. She's been in, I believe it's Pittsburgh, with a fake Donald Trump impersonator who actually helped Hillary Clinton when she debated the Donald. And so she is practicing her lines, the lines that she will use during the debate, because we know that Kamala likes to use a lot of one-liners. You know how it goes. Do you think that she will be able to handle herself with practiced canned statements and lines? Or do you think that's going to fall apart and get exposed? What can be for Kamala, unburdened by what has been? Well, I kind of tend to think that she's going to be burdened by Donald Trump, who she has never met in person. Guys, what the heck? She's never met him in person. So let's think about this. You got a man out here who just disassembled Sleepy Joe Biden in the last debate. Things didn't go so well for Sleepy Joe Biden. And now Kamala, who is Sleepy Joe Biden's vice president, the woman who has stood beside him during the last 3.5 years, standing up for his policies and helping him to push all of the legislation that he wanted to get through. And now we're going to see Kamala thrown into a debate after only having accomplished one interview. I think Donald Trump has done, 34 interviews with the media to date, and he's been, around the country doing multiple speeches, just speaking off the cuff. One thing that I notice about Donald Trump is he can drone on for hours on end, talking about specifics, talking about policies, talking about the border, taxation, trade, tariffs, the proxy wars. He goes into great detail, and it's all off the cuff. He kind of sounds like a man who has a little bit of experience as a businessman and a little bit of experience as a president. And he's just talking from the heart, talking about the things that he thinks need to be done, need to be changed in the next 4 years if he is elected president. Now, on the other hand, we see Kamala running around the country saying things like, what can we be unburdened by what has been? Repeating the same lines, the platitudes, the canned speeches that if you lay one on top of the other, they match perfectly. Of course, she'll change her accent. She'll change her accent when she's speaking in Michigan, when she's talking about thanking unions for your 5-day work week and your paid leave, blah, blah, blah. And then she goes into her southern drawl where she says, you better thank a union member. But it's still the same speech. It's still the same rehearsed, canned speech that she uses on each and every public appearance, but she does not like to be pinned down in front of a person doing an interview and asked critical questions about exact details of what she's going to do. Like, what are you going to do on your first day in office? And then she gives generalities. We had the CNN interview, which was kind of soft in my opinion. Dana Bash did kind of repeat herself a couple times asking questions because Kamala did not give an answer to some of the questions. But will she be able to get away with that in a debate with Donald Trump? Now, some time ago, I had a video where I talked about the fact that we might see Kamala just break out and do very well in this debate because maybe she's hiding her best for the debate. Kind of like Muhammed Ali did when he would do the rope-a-dope method, where he put his hands up and let his opponent beat on him until they tired out and then he would knock him out. So maybe she is saving everything for this debate and she's going to give a knockout punch to Donald Trump. It's possible. I mean, years ago, I noticed, we're talking 4, 5, 6 years ago when you would hear Kamala speak. She sounded very intelligent, very eloquent. She could give details. She had an enthusiasm that we don't see today. And now we tend to see her slurring her speech, laughing all the time, giggling, cackling, and repeating the same old lines, the same old stuff. So what has happened? What has changed with Kamala since the days that she could speak and give specifics and details about her beliefs, her policies, her stances, and then today where we see her speaking so much more slowly and repeating the same tired lines, speech after speech. She doesn't sound the same. I don't get the same vibe from her as what we did in the past. So which Kamala do you think is going to show up for this debate? Is it going to be the strong black woman? Or is it going to be the same person that we have seen in the last couple of months or however long it's been since she was anointed as the Democratic nominee without a single vote? Democrats, I'm still rubbing my head on that one, wondering how you just let that go, that you did not get to cast a vote for your nominee. It was just forced upon you, but at the same time, you're afraid of Donald Trump ending democracy. Yeah, we'll just leave that. We'll set that aside for another video. One interesting thing that I cannot figure out is that during the last debate that we saw, we had the muted mics, we had the certain rules, no crowd, muted mics, had to be standing. And when the Harris folks agreed to one debate, first they were talking about 3, now we know that there's not going to be 3. They agreed to those same circumstances and said they wanted muted mics. But then we turn around and a few weeks later, she's complaining, saying, I want hot mics. I want to be able to sit down. I want notes, and all these different things where she's trying to get ABC to change up the rules. But what happened from 3 weeks ago when you agreed to the muted mics and now you want a hot mic? And so you hear the people talking about maybe the fact that she's thinking that she can zing Donald Trump and say, excuse me, can I finish? That was a good strategy. It played well when she went up against Pence. Now, she didn't say, much that made any sense to me, but she did get to interrupt him as he tried to interrupt her. And maybe they thought that this is the only strategy that could work against Donald Trump. Well, I guess they're not going to allow that. And I really thought that there was a chance that Kamala was going to back out of the debate because she was not getting her way. In my opinion, I think the muted mics is going to be a much better situation for her because you're not going to be able to get away with the same old thing of just, say, setting up Donald Trump to speak out of turn and then you squash him saying, excuse me, let me finish. I think she's going to have to say some substantive things in response to the questions that are asked. And who knows what those questions are going to be. I'm going to bet you that just like what we saw 4 years ago when Hillary Clinton was given the questions by the news network and the person who did that was fired, I'm thinking that they're definitely going to give her the questions again. They're not going to talk about it in public, but she's got the questions. That's why she's rehearsing so well. I don't think it's going to help because Donald Trump is going to speak on whatever is on his mind. And at times, we've noticed that Donald Trump won't even pay any attention to a question. He'll just talk and address what he wants. And I think he should. I think he should just bring up things and say whatever he wants, okay, and address the crazy things that have been going on that we have not received answers for, such as Kamala completely stealing the idea of taking away the tax on tips, completely flip-flopping on her tax strategy, and then having the gall to come up with campaign videos or a video that talks about how she is strong against crime and how she's got this tremendous wall. Kamala's got a wall that she built that's going to keep out the illegals. So she's taking credit for a wall that previously she claimed was Donald Trump's ego, a waste of money, a big racist barrier that was nothing more than a waste of money that stands for Donald Trump's out of control ego. It's racist to have a wall. It's racist to just allow people to come into this country without providing the proper documentation. But what, now all of a sudden she's got the wall in her own campaign video? Well, I think things like that need to come up, and I think they are going to come up. And I'm going to give you the other scenario that I'm kind of leaning towards that I think of what is going to happen. Scenario one was her using the rope-a-dope method, and she's going to come out and clobber Donald Trump, and we'll see this Kamala that we have not seen before. Scenario number two is I think that she's going to fail miserably, and she will be exposed. I don't think she can speak on the issues, and I think it's going to be an embarrassment. Donald Trump can go off the cuff and speak about anything, and he has been forthcoming about all of his views in the 34 interviews that he's already done and in the multiple speeches where he just speaks off the top of his head. Kamala does not speak off the top of her head. She speaks in canned statements. And since there will be no notes allowed during this debate, what is she going to do? What is she going to do? Is she going to show up drunk? Will she be slurring her speech? Or will she be sharp? But what is she going to do without her canned statements, without her notes, and without Tampon Tim Waltz at her side to bail her out and provide a reasonable distraction whenever she is pressed for certain questions that she knows she can't provide an answer to? I guess we'll have to see. But I want to know what you think. What do you think is going to happen during this debate? And if you are in support of Kamala, do you think she's going to come out swinging? Or do you think that this is going to further dig the hole deeper that she is already in because the polls are telling us that things are not going her way? If you are in support of Donald Trump, what do you think should be his chief strategy? Should he go off the cuff and not answer certain questions and bring up the things that the panel is unwilling to bring up and force Kamala to give an answer to the obvious questions that people want to know? Or should he stay on point and only address the questions? I want to know what you think. Now, in the Trump and Biden debate, I didn't think the Don did as well as what I wanted him to do, especially in the end. Now, he's going to get the last word. He gets the final words on this debate. I wanted him to give more of a visionary speech at the end and talk about what can be unburdened by what has been. And I'm hoping that this time, instead of nitpicking about all of the ridiculousness that we have seen in the last three and a half years, with inflation being out of control, the proxy wars, spending money on the Ukraine war conflict. I want him to provide a visionary statement of what we can expect when we elect him as the next president of the United States. But that's all I've got. Now, I want to hear what you think. Post it in the comments below, and then I might go live tomorrow. We'll see if I can do a live stream. If you want me to stream the debate, let me know. I'll try to stream the debate. If anything, I will provide a response video after the debate is done and tell you who I think won. So until then, this is Carlton Flowers, and I am out.